Now, this pastor or this minister, or this reverend or this person, right? He's attacking Christianity, right? And comparing it to not honoring your father and mother. Why is there a difference between Christmas and not honoring your father and mother, right? For example. Now, is Jesus saying you can't celebrate Christmas because it was once a pagan holiday, right? Or is there something different about breaking the law of Moses, right? Where you're to take care of your parents as they get older and honor them, right? As they honored you. What does that mean? Well, when you were a baby, right, they had to change your diaper, nurse you, right, take care of you until you reach maturity, right, which is between, say, 18 and older, right, right. And generally, when they get older, they have the same problem because some people, as they get older, right, it's harder for them to even move around, right? Some need help going to the bathroom, right? And stuff like that, right? Now, what's the difference, though, between Christmas, where even the angels celebrated Jesus' birthday, by the way, and, right, like the Jehovah's Witnesses or certain people, don't celebrate it, right? Now, do you see what I mean? Christmas became the 25th because we don't know what actual day he was born on, what actual day Gabriel went into Mary. All we know, it was the 6th month, right? Which is very ambiguous, right? Right. Well, which calendar, by the way? Was it June? Was it February or September? Right. Well, what do those months have to do with anything? Well, actually, back then in the Hebrew, there were two calendars, right? One was called the civil calendar, which had to do with birth weights and birthing and all that, right? And the other was the sacred calendar. It had to do with all the feasts and this, that, and the other. Well, coincidentally, the sacred calendar, the 6th month is February. By the way. And that would make a different due date. But in February, he could be born at least by November. If the 25th was the time of the feast of Mithra or something like, or Saturn or whatever, or something like that, right? It just kind of made sense to them to include some of the former things they did in that festival as well. Why? Because Christ was hanged on a tree, right? Why a Christmas tree, though? Because God gave the greatest gift to take away the sins of the world, right? An instruction. Those individuals, the members and attendees of the Living Church of God who sponsor the Tomorrow's World program would... Now, my church is just called the Christian National Church, right? Nothing fancy, nothing, right? Not a lot of hoopla, right? I don't know what these people call themselves. Let's see what does the thing say. Tomorrow's World, right? Don't know who they exactly are or what denomination, right? But did Jesus say to condemn people, though, right? For celebrating his birthday, for example, right? And you can't do it, right? Ever in the Bible. No? Right, right. Well, you can, right? Why? We have an example. What happened on the day Jesus was born, right? Shepherds from the field were told by the angels, Christ the Lord is born today. Hallelujah. Right? Right. Well, didn't they celebrate his birth and tell the shepherds he was born, and then they go and see the wonder of his birth? Right. So the Bible never said you couldn't celebrate it, right? In fact, the angels did, right? And I think they're a little higher than us, and we're a little lower than them too, technically, right? And of course, the shepherds went to see this wondrous sight, right? Well, that's why we celebrate. I know. The Bible don't say you can't celebrate it, by the way. And if we are following it as an example, right? Now we can celebrate everybody's birthday. Was it a Jewish custom to even acknowledge someone's birthday? No. But when Jesus was born, it kind of changed the idea about celebrating the birthday, right? Even if there were some kind of pagan origins there, I don't know, right? Well, what's the difference between honoring your father and mother, for example, and celebrating Christmas? Well, you're just acknowledging Jesus was born. You're putting up the Christmas and the ivory and all that, right? The mistletoe, right? The holly, right? You know what I mean, right? Stuff like that, right? Well, you can or can't. I'm not saying, oh, you have to celebrate Jesus' birth. It's a law. Well, what's the difference between a law and a celebration, right? Even the angels celebrated his birth and told the shepherds, right? They didn't know, right? Well, every day he was born on, right? We weren't told that either, by the way. Right. Specifically, right? But the shepherds knew, Mary knew, Joseph knew, right? Jesus himself might have knew. But that would depend on if Mary and Joseph specifically told him on the day he was born, right? And things like that. Do you understand, right? So, what's the difference between not honoring your father and mother, right? When Jesus said, be wise as serpents and harmless as doves, right? Well, the way Jesus didn't like them doing this is they would pay to take care of their parents by someone else, right? Now, the thing is, that's your job, right? And when you put someone in a nursing home, say, right, I'm not condemning it, you know what I mean, right? Unto condemnation, right? But what I'm saying is, you've heard horror stories, right, at the same time, because they're not related to the person who's in the nursing home. Some people, because they're mean, envious, jealous, had a hard life, or whatever, even when they go into the nursing field, right, they develop a form of what's called Munchausen by proxy, right? Munchausen by proxy, right? Where they want to hurt their own patients, right? Well, that's probably one of the reasons, right? God wants you to take care of your mother or father as they get older, right? And some people don't understand that, right? I mean, I'm not saying you can't put them in a nursing home. Obviously, you are, right? I'm not condemning you in that. I know you're not following the law perfectly. Question is, who does? Who does? But what you got to do is you can't put them in the nursing home and forget about them, right? Okay, you understand what I mean, right? Let's say you they become really disabled, right, or something, right? You can't move around, right? Well, then you're asking another person to take care of your mess, right? that you would have to do otherwise, right? Yeah, no. Right, right. Well, they're if you don't want to, they're not going to want to, right? And can become abusive, right? Now, is that wrong too? Yeah, it's wrong too. It's wrong too. But either way, I know it is still your job to make sure your parents are taken care of and to visit them at least. You know what I mean, right? Don't just stick them there and forget about them either. You know what I mean, right? Right. At least show you care a little bit and visit them and have the grandkids come by or things like that, especially on the weekends or something, right? I know. I know you probably work 9 to 5 and then 5 days a week at least, maybe 7 something, right? Still, I know, right? The thing is, though, right? Take a break, right? Nobody, again, I know, is to work 7 days a week, though you can, right? But then you're burning the candle at both ends, as they see. Right in the middle, look back. Right. Remember what Fred said? He can burn the candle at both ends. Right in the middle, look back. Right. Well, okay, right. Then you're burning yourself out, right? Take a break, man. Quit killing yourself, right? There's a reason for the Sabbath day, right? And it ain't to pick up stones. The stone was the one for picking up sticks, either, by the way. Why? Why? You're not loving, right? Either, right? Now, you can't make someone take a day of rest, right? Pagan or Jewish, right? Nor should you work 7 days a week, right? Now, what we're doing is we have 5 day week because Jesus was raised on the Sabbath. I mean, the evening of the Sabbath, right? After the Sabbath day, right? That would be technically back then Saturday, right? By morning, they found the tomb empty, right? Different people, 3 at least, Peter, John, and Mary, went to the tomb first, right? Mary was anxious because her Lord had died. Peter and James too, right? And the thing is, Peter and John, right? Because John taught of Jesus' past, had a discrepancy of their view of Jesus. Jesus and John, because he's the only one before the cross, had a different relationship. He also leaned on his chest at the Last Supper, or bosom too. Well, if I have a girdle on, lesbians, sorry, I'm trying to conceal my breast, right? Transgender people, right? To the world, right? Because I'm a true hermaphrodite. And I would look kind of feminine, even in Jerusalem, fully clothed, right? If I had boobs, but people thought I was supposed to be a man, right? Too. And see, nobody would know if I wore a belt around my chest, right? And went around in public, right? Either. But the only way they wouldn't know, and the only one who could teach him that is Mary. By the way. So she too would notice if her son developed breasts between, let's say, 9, 10 to 16, 18, right? Yeah, that's usually when a woman develops her breasts, right? Now, breasts also come in all shapes and sizes, and the bra sizes go from A cup, which, if you love the girl, is fine, all the way to F or triple D or whatever, Boob jobs, usually, not all. Dolly's an example of not one who had a boob job but had a nice breast, for example, right? And every man knows Dolly has nice breasts, right? Not just me, not just you. But I wouldn't single her out more than any other star. Difference is, I know, no one thinks Dolly ever had a boob job. And that they're natural, right? Exactly. Just making a joke, Dolly, nothing serious, right? I was able to get your Playboy edition, right? For some reason in Savannah, right? Yes, they all sold out. Or did you not want me to get one, which is obsessive, right? On your part, by the way. Whether you were nude or not, by the way, I don't even know if that you would even let them shoot you nude, right? You're a good Christian girl, Sally, right? Right. Yeah, the problem with even unity is in Eden we were naked and not ashamed, right? How can biting into a piece of fruit make you naked and ashamed, right? That would have to do with digesting it, maybe. I don't know, in that area, right? But otherwise, right, the only thing I know and heard of is kind of a rape scene, right? Uh, where the father of all living, as Eve was the mother of all living, right, ate of the fruit of the body of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Do you understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. Well, every tree has members, limbs, branches, and the fruit is how it reproduces, right? Mm-hmm. Well, in Song of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 3, the lady is saying to her man that he is like an apple tree, right? Mm-hmm. Among the trees of the wood or forest or whatever, right? The woods, right? As we call them, right? Or forest, even, right? Uh, and of the sons of men, he's most fair or something like that. But the last line talks about, and she was standing in his shadow, right? And his fruit was sweet to the taste. Now, what can a woman do where she's in the shadow of a male and is tasting his fruit? What will we call that if you were to visualize it today? A blowjob? I don't know. See, the Bible says people are sealing scriptures, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, this scripture will be brought to a learned person and said, well, what does this mean? And he said, well, I don't know, sealed, right? But then it's brought to an unlearned person who's asked the same thing. What does this mean? I don't know, I'm not learned, right? Like my Sunday school teacher when I asked her about my dream, right? And the following weekend, probably, when I either had it sometime during the week, I don't remember specifically. It's not like I wrote it down in my diary or anything, but I knew I had the dream, right? So I went and asked my Sunday school teacher, probably the following weekend, right, about it. I told her, well, I had a dream. I was standing before the throne of God in heaven. What does it mean, right? Right. And she said, well, have you been eating anything unusual, or have you been reading the Bible a lot? Well, I'm in church. Of course I'm reading the Bible. Right? Well, define a lot, right? I mean, what am I supposed to say? I'm the student, right? Going to the teacher, asking her a question, right? That should have an answer if you see them for talking about them, right? Right. Well, she didn't want to answer it, right? Instead, it's like she was blaming me, right, for having the dream in the first place, right? And acting like I had done something unusual to even have it, right? Well, I don't know, right? I'm only 12 still, probably, when I had it, right? Now, even your bar mitzvahs and your bat mitzvahs, though it should be bin mitzvahs, by the way, Jews. Are you Greek? Uh-oh. But anyway, little faux pas on your part. Who cares? No one cares. Well, if you think about it, though, there's only one fruit a woman can taste of. Getting back to the topic. And put in her mouth. And it's like a banana and two grapes. If you're going for the fruit. Or two olives. If you know what I mean. Metaphor. Think about a metaphor as it has a meaning. It has a meaning. Now, I told you before, you're not, what? Reading the Bible. Not only are you not reading it, you're sealing it, right? Now, we know they're kissing on the mouth, right? We know he's playing with her breast, too, right? Those two things are in, right? But she's also in his shadow tasting his fruit. Damn. And you can't figure that out, though, either, huh? Right? That's the one scripture that'll throw you for a loop on it, right? And you'll be like, if you're learned, I don't know, it's sealed. If you're unlearned, you'll be like, I don't know. I wasn't explained all that, right? No one showed me what that means. I don't know, right? Well, that's the point, right? The person who wrote it knows what they're saying. And it don't mean, ladies, it can't be reciprocated. And he can't lick the hole of your entranceway. Your door, if you will. And it does say something about the door. He reaches hands to the latch on the door. Does the click come to mind, ladies? Right. Uh-huh. Would that be the latch of your door? Or the key to your pleasure? Right. Even the G spot is inside. Wiggle it just a little bit. So if the Bible's talking about sex and being kind of little graphic, the metaphorically speaking, of course, right? It is a religious book, right? But can you figure out what's being said, or do you seal it or play dumb, right? One's called being a smart butt, the other a dumb butt, right? Some might even say jackass, which is an old English word for donkey. Not talking about Eddie Murphy playing donkey, the talking donkey, like Balaam had a talking donkey, where the angel of the Lord, right, probably the good one, opened its mouth that it may speak to Balaam. Well, what do you think that means, right? Well, Balaam wasn't seeing the angel. And unusually, as he was going towards his goal to curse Israel, and he kept telling the king, wanting him to curse him, I can't curse them for all the money in the world. You know what he means? Right. If I do, you gotta pay me a lot of damn money, man. Exactly what he's saying, right? The angel ain't wanting him to say that to him. He's getting the message mixed up, right? The angel's telling him not to curse Israel, right? But he wants to anyway. So what does he do, right? The angel of the Lord stands before the donkey with the sword, right? Drawn, right? Well, Balaam can't see the donkey. Mm-hmm. Can see the donkey, but not the angel, right? He's blind to it, right? Even being in front of him, right? But the donkey, for some reason, ain't. Whatever vision a horse and donkey have, because they're related, kind of similar in design by the designer, right? But also different too. What happens when a horse and a donkey mate? Or even a zebra and a horse, or even a horse and any other equine type animal, right? Mm-hmm. It creates a mule. Now, the thing about the mule, though, is it's usually what? Sterile. It can't reproduce itself, right? That's odd. If we were evolved, shouldn't the donkey and the horse be able to mate with a viable offspring? Well, if you mess with genetics, you might can do that, right? But the maker of the donkey and the horse don't want them to mate, right? A horse is a horse, of course, of course. And a donkey is a donkey. Mm-hmm. Gotta come up with a rhyme for that, though. That's not easy. A horse is a horse, of course, but a donkey is a horse of a different color, right? I don't know. But not a horse at all, but not a horse at all either, right? Neither is a zebra a horse, right? Though an equinese type animal, whatever you call it, right? It's an equine or horse type animal, but it's not a horse, right? Either, right? Even though it has black and white stripes, right? Mm-hmm. Just like the piano is ebony and ivory, so is the zebra in Africa, right? It has stripes on its white body, right? Why is that? Well, if your climate is perfect, right, and you're in Eden, right, what skin color do you think you would be? Neither white nor black, right? By the way, white is like the snow. Black is like my little desk right there, or the stool, right? Or even the Bible sometimes. I know. None of this is where nobody's black because your eyeballs and your teeth are white. That's called yin and yang, by the way. Yes, it is. I know. Meaning white and black, and black and white, with a little bit of each, right? I know. Is how every person is really supposed to be. We're in the middle of all that, right? No one's fully white, by the way. No one's fully black, right? Why? Because we're all human beings. Now, if you're in Africa, though, after the fall for 6,000 years, what do you think is going to happen to your skin tone? You're going to get darker. If you want proof, look at Australia and the Aborigines, right? I told you this before, right? There's not just one continent where they're dark people, there's two, right? And they're separated by thousands of miles. And we're ignorant of each other's existence, even probably, right? If you're being honest, right? Until, right, they discovered Australia, right? And who did that? The people sailing the ocean blue, right? In 1492. That works too, huh? Right. Of course, if you're a singer, you'd know the rhyme, right? And how to rhyme, right? Right. Now, when I'm telling a story, my job is to get you interested in the story, even if you're lying and calling it gibberish, right? It's not gibberish because you're sillying it, right? You're even sillying the divine name And it took me a while to kind of get it myself, right? What it might be, but that's why I studied into the Hebrew names. Netanyahu, who was the former prime minister, right, of Israel, and Eliyahu, right, those two names sound similar. Where? At the end, right? Why Yahoo? Yahoo. And YHWH would be what? Yahoo Ah? Like Sarah? Are you sealing the divine name, right? Meaning, we should know it for our salvation, right? But no one really wants to figure it out, right? Jew or Gentile, right? By the way. Which means both. If Jesus in Revelation say, I will write upon them the name of the city of my God and the name of my God in Revelation 3, right? Pretty sure it was, right? And he shall be a temple in a pillar in the temple of my God, right? Right? Something like that. You know what I mean, right? We're all the temple of God. By the way, Christians, right? You're the tabernacle. Your church alone, right? There's nothing wrong with gathering together. I'm not saying that either. But sometimes you got to come out from among them and be separate, right? Too. As Paul went to Arabia for 3 years before he began his ministry and studied the Torah. For he knew this Jesus was different, right? He knew the Christians were teaching a different idea, higher than the law. It's called unconditional love, right? It's spelled out in 1 Corinthians 13, right? Love, Christians, keeps no record of wrong, right? Because it's unconditional. Your dogs, in fact, since we got super pets this weekend, right? Love unconditionally sometimes, unlike human beings. Right? We can be cruel, not kind. Like Queen said, in a way. But it's I gotta be cruel, relax, right? But I turned it to cruel, right? And again, right? But you're not being kind, right? either, right? Ellen's probably kinder than some of you Christians, right? I guess, I don't know, right? Though again, right? We're all human, No one's perfect. And to forgive is part of being good, right? To condemn is part of being evil. Now, why does Jesus say either make the fruit good and the tree good, right? Or the fruit corrupt and the tree corrupt, right? And its fruit corrupt, right? That means your works, by the way. Fruit can stand for a few things. One is your own reproductive organs, right? Both the males and the females. And if you're a hermaphrodite, you can be with both, right? That should clue you in as to why one is the tree of life, who's both still, right? And one is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, who's both still, right? One wants to harm us, one wants to save us, but the problem is, we're more prone to be what? Lukewarm, good and evil, good and evil. How? We condemn Christians, right? Instead of save, right? Now, is Jesus telling them, though, you got to stop that practice? No, he's calling them hypocrites, actors, pretenders. Because they're not following the law of Moses themselves, but then judge others under condemnation who don't as well. Right. That's the whole point of the sermon. Right. Of following the commandments of men instead of the commandments of God. Right. It's not saying you can't celebrate Christmas, which is what this lesson is all about. Right. By the way, I ain't forgot. Right. But when you're talking about a whole lesson, right, on one topic, you got to cover a lot of ground, right? As did Jesus. He also pointed out how David ate of the shewbread, which is also unlawful for him to do, right? But you don't see them going into an uproar over it, right? It's just food, right? Maybe that's what Moses meant about stoning the Egyptian who picked up the sticks on the Sabbath day, right? If you got to stone him the same day as he picked up the sticks, well, to stone him, you got to pick up rocks, right? Now, what's the point Moses is making? The cruelty of the law. Mm-hmm. Especially if the punishment is death. Right. Mm. When the punishment is death, even for a murderer, mm-hmm, which is why when you give someone the death penalty, right, you're still playing God a little, mm-hmm, and taking the law into your own hands, which means you're playing vigilante, right? Now, is it right to murder? No. But if God can resurrect people, mm-hmm, and we got 3 resurrected before the cross, and at least 2 after, and 1 fell from a 3-story window. Sound familiar? Right. And died. Yeah, I was in a 3-story fall myself in a wreck. Both, when you black out from one, you usually are either paralyzed, severely damaged, or disabled or something like that. Well, I'm one of those 2 things, right, or 3 things, right? Yet I still went from the wreck for 8 years like nothing happened, right? Then, right, after the wreck, right, because I didn't understand the nature of my disability. I don't remember the first 2 weeks in the hospital anyway, right? On the ward, right? So coming 2 once in a while, right? And they're keeping me sedated if I don't remember anything, right? Right. Why? Because you're trying to get out of bed, probably. Right. I'm probably periodically trying to get out of bed and they won't let me, right? I'm guessing, I remember, right? But I feel like I'm sedated too the whole time, right? To have someone on a liquid diet and sedated, right? Okay, you're not gonna remember nothing. Right? Well, like I said, if Dr. Chu is sedating me, right, that would explain a blackout, right? But only if you're sedating me, right? Now you can't pretend to sedate me though either, Dr. Chu or Michelle. And you can't come here, have sex with me, black me out, and then go back home, right? Either one of you. Or my ex-girlfriend, Michelle, who I know I had sex with her. She can't do it either, right? Because she's afraid of her mother and father finding out, right? Or she liked the sex, but knows no one else will be with her like that, but knows I want a girlfriend, but thinks she's too young, right? To really be with me, right? But, don't have a lot of prospects. Or everyone else is teasing her or being mean to her, right? And she does, I wouldn't be mean to her, right? And I was mad with them for messing with her, right? About the size of her boobs or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. I'm talking about all this too. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I am. Mhm. Not meaning nothing towards either Michelle's. Nor Brian's Michelle, nor Dion's Angela, nor Erica, nor anyone. Nor Aunt Francine, nor... Right. You don't know who these people are. We've all heard the name Francis or Francine, or... Right. Maybe not Francine, that's kind of a new one, right? But I often get my aunt's names confused, but you don't know either one. You don't know either one, right? Now, why do you think Francine? Well, Celine and Lean is a French feminine name, right? I don't know if she's Marceline, right. Or what her first, if there's more to it than that. But Francine and Marceline, right, are French names like Madeline, right? It's really Madeline, not Madeline, right? By the way, right? If you're French, you know what I mean, right? It's Madeline, not Madeline, right? And I'm trying to find someone. Find me a woman to love. And like I said, if you want a man to love, that's up to you. This is up to you. But don't force people who don't. Or say you don't have a choice when you do. There's two choices, right? If you have two or more choices, right? You have a choice. You have a choice. That's the point, right? If you can be with a male or a female and you choose to be with either or, you're choosing. You're choosing. That's a choice. You have two choices. Unless there's a third choice, which is called true hermaphroditism. Though that can vary, I don't know, between a triple X female and a male who's XY, XX, or XY, X, right? That's the different gene too, right? That means the sperm is X and Y, right? Itself, and the egg is XX, right? But it also could be X or Y. He can be even Y, well, not necessarily Y, but YX, X, right? Which is different, right? Or X, XY with the sperm. I don't know if the egg could ever be anything but XO, XX, or X, right? The same with the sperm, it's either Y, XY, or X, right? But if there's three sperms, right, that produces three forms, right, there's three genders. Scientists and doctors, right, a medical profession, right. And if you won't understand, when Paul says the male and female are one in Christ Jesus, he means literally, though you're interpreting it as metaphorical. Why? Because he also goes back to Adam in 1 Corinthians several times, including telling how Eve was taken out of Adam, right? Well, if you're taken out of someone, you were in them first, right? At least 50-50, right? And then the two became what? One flesh. After being divided. Now, if you got the male member and she's got the female door, right, or the opening of the door, or the latch to insert the key into, and Jesus has the keys of death and hell, right, himself, right. Though they say he gave it to Peter, but why, right? Peter is the one who killed Ananias and Sapphira. Jesus is trying to save everybody, right? One is of a different spirit, ain't he? One thinks he's being like the prophets of the Old Testament. And one is showing us agape love. Right. Agape as love, right? The word is agape. Why add an A and an ES there, John? What does A usually stand for in the Greek? Feminine, female, thea, right? Or thea. Thea would be both, right? And there are both. Or theola, something like that, right? Mm-hmm. Unless it's thaw, right? Just THA, right? But I think it's THEA. And, EA Sports, is that what you're thinking? Right, okay. It's possible. It's possible. Now Charles Stanley is on, and again, right? Some people go off on a tangent, right? The Bible don't say you can or cannot, that you have to or don't have to celebrate birthdays. But it's not a law either. You know. Moses didn't say in the law you could or couldn't celebrate your birthday, did he? No. But if you do, what does that mean? It's a pagan holiday or it's a sin? No. No. It ain't either way. Either do it or don't, right? I mean, you know the day you were born, we all do, right? Most people are taught to celebrate it, right? Is it a harm or a joy, or is it a celebration? It's a celebration. Celebration to last throughout the year. So bring your good times and your party to it. We gonna celebrate our party with you. Come on now. Celebration. Let's all celebrate and have a good time. I think this is either Cooler than the Gang or one of them. I'm forgetting the name of the group. Sorry. One of them. But they're becoming self-righteous, see? Your righteousness, Christians, is filthy rags because you didn't it, right? His righteousness is true righteousness because he's not lukewarm. He don't bless and curse. Satan taught us that, right? And now he's trying to only curse us, right? By the way, right? Now, God dealt with him how? By letting him choose to cohort with Adam and Eve, right? And teach them the knowledge of good and evil, right? Which is where we learn to bless and curse, right? Though God says to Abraham, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you, right? Why did Moses live to 120? Well, one, he said that will be the age of everyone's lifespan, right? Two, he said you can bless and curse people who break the law. Well, Jesus, 2,000 years later and 1,500 years after Moses, told you a different thing. Bless only, right? Don't curse, right? Forgive, don't condemn. And you're missing the entire message when you do both. And you're wasting your time and his, and you're still sinning with Satan. Okay. Get the point. Have a nice day.